Hello and welcome to Lightspeed, where we discuss music and music production related topics. My name is Sunwarper.
And my name is Curtis. Thank you ever so much for joining us today.
Our show is supported over on Patreon. We have exclusive content like Starstream, which is our long form podcast with our friend and colleague Eon Lake. We have a lot of fun with that, and we're also now starting to do live streams where if you want to participate in the actual video with us, on video, in the chat, things like that, you can head over to patreon.com/audionautic.
And thank you for your support, the guys who do. We love you. It's great. It's growing every month, which is nice to see. We have a great chat with people who are there, and it's allowed us to do this ADSN, the Audionautic Deep Space Network, where we're going to start doing these live, on a weekly basis. And we couldn't do that without the support of our patrons. So
yeah,
thank you.
Definitely. It means so much to us to have your support, and with that support, we're able to do more things sustainably because of it. And I just want to give a special shout out to our Audionaut engineer, McKinleyA.
So today we're talking about distribution, and this stems from a conversation we had in the Patreon chat from Lars. Haur. We're talking about distribution. We were talking about Spotify and all that stuff, and we realized Lars said it. We haven't really done a comparison of distributors. We've done submissions, and we've talked about the pros and cons of distribution, but we haven't really looked at the guys who do the distribution. And so I thought today we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk again a little bit about why we need it and why what the pros and cons of distributing and so on.
Yeah, and why you may or may not want to be on streaming sites and things of that nature.
And there is this debate is one that is consistent in the community.
Yeah,
and
maybe we should start with why you should consider joining streaming, just to get that out of the way. Because maybe if you don't want to join streaming sites, you don't need to worry about these distributors, right?
Yeah, completely. Okay, let's do with that then, and let's you lead the way on that one.
All right, so there's a lot of controversy with streaming. With that being said, it is the way most people listen to music nowadays. And so if you want your music to be heard and you want your music out there, it is good to be on these streaming sites, because the more places people can find you, the more you can get them funneled to Bandcamp, your social media. If you have some sort of subscription service, something like that, you can get people to those. Like, people may find you on Spotify, and then you have a link to your Bandcamp, and they may want to go and support you and buy the music. And so that is really why you should consider being on streaming sites, because that's just where everybody is right now.
Yeah, and it's like the try before you buy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like if the Bandcamp is your merch stand, then your Spotify is you opening as a supporting act for someone else.
Yeah.
It's where people find out who you are and that kind of
thing. And there's another issue too, is that, Bandcamp and buying music costs a lot of money. And yeah, there's some people that can afford it and stuff, but there's some that can't. And so if you don't have your music on a streaming site or something, those people that can't afford to buy your music can't support you in any way. Theoretically. Maybe they'll find some way, but they can't buy your music. They could stream it on Bandcamp, but you're not getting any revenue from the streams on that. And then usually on Bandcamp, after 3 or 4 streams, it cuts you out from being able to listen. So if you have it on Spotify, maybe you're getting 0.0067 cents on it or something, but they're still able to support you. And then maybe when they have money, they can then go and buy your music, buy merch, things like that.
Yeah, completely. For those of you who don't know at home, I've recently moved to Czech Republic, and I've only been there for about a year now. And when you move to a new place, you meet fellow musicians and you start networking and stuff. Everyone always says, "What's your Spotify?" They never say, "What's your Bandcamp?" They never say, "What's going on there?" It's always about, "Are you on Apple? Are you on Spotify?" Which, okay, yes, like you say, the monetary is always a little bit iffy, but it's where people are listening to music, and it's a devil, but it's what you're gonna do. What are you gonna do in that situation?
And I would say to try not to get too caught up in monthly listeners and streaming numbers and things like that. Yeah, you want to grow and you want to see growth long term through the platform, but it's not that big of a deal. One of the best things is seeing how many listeners are listening to it, because if you have smaller number or a number, but then a massive number of streams behind it, that means just a few people or a lot of people are supporting you massively on that. And, you know, that's great. But again, it's not good to get caught up in the numbers. But the big thing is you want to cast a big net that people can find your music so that it's easier for them and more accessible. So whatever their platform is that they prefer, it's on there. And to do that, the best way is to use distributors that get it everywhere.
Yeah. And so we're going to take a look at those because, I mean, that's a great...
I thought that'd be just a beautiful segue, right?
Perfect. Yeah. So we're going to have a look at some of them on here, and we're going to have a look at 4. And the reason we're going to have a look at these 4 is that because these are the ones that we have used in some fashion.
Yeah.
And there's no point us talking about stuff that we don't know. We know these, and we've used them before, and we know the pros and cons of using them. So we're going to go through them.
Yeah.
And so let's start, I suppose, with Distrokid. Let's start with Distrokid, because we both use Distrokid on a regular basis for our solo releases, not our collaborative releases. We'll get into that in a moment. I'm just going to share my screen here. So we're going to start with Distrokid, and so you use Distro. It's not just me. You use Distro as well.
No, I use Distrokid. For almost every release.
Okay, yeah. So. It's not bad. Like so, I have the Musicians Plus, which is $35 a year, which is 2 artist or band names. You can go for as little as $20 for a year. I am thinking about going up to this just for shits and gigs. This is, I think, Distrokid is kind of the top in terms of what they can do.
Yeah.
Full distribution. It's relatively cheap. I've never had an issue with them. I know some people have had an issue with tracks being taken down. I feel that might be because they haven't. Yeah, but I feel that might be because they haven't cleared the samples. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know there's issues with. Sometimes they reject artwork and or song titles. They won't let you publish the thing through them because if you use a generic track title like A or track 1, they say that this doesn't work and they won't let you release it. They make you change the name. So that is something to consider if you like that kind of naming system.
Well, we had me and Starless Arms. We actually had an issue with Tunecore on that, which we'll get to in a minute, because our EP last year was called JT, and that they didn't like that so much, so we had to.
Justin Timberlake didn't like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Isn't it? Our homage to that brilliant man. But okay, so if I come up to my music, for example, so you can see here. So these are all the singles that I've had, all the releases I've had out through Distrokid. These are just my solo releases. They're the collaborative ones we've actually done various ones over the time. And that's because of coming back to this idea of having artists or band names. Now,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Traditionally, with Distrokid, now we think this might have changed, but traditionally with Distrokid, if you do a collab with 2 artists, that takes 1 artist slot, which we found when we started collabing together that wasn't ideal, and so we went to something else. We went to CD Baby for
Sounddrop. Oh yeah, we did. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. We did Trans-Pacific and Periapsis through CD Baby. And then we did the full EP Voyage through Sounddrop.
Yeah, and the reason I like Distrokid in this sense is because of not only do they distribute to everywhere, but also you're on all social media on the day of release.
Yeah, you do need to click enable Snapchat or TikTok. There's one of them you have to enable. I don't think you had it enabled on any of those songs, but there's one in the little check boxes at the end of uploading. You have to click like enable something with Snapchat. Yeah, see, I think it's Snapchat. I don't see the little icon there.
Yeah, I don't use Snapchat.
Well, I mean, again, just get your music on everything so that anybody can do it. But we do think that it's changed. That because I know you can add. Just go over to upload really fast, Curtis, because I know you can add. So yeah, see up there, Snapchat beta. You have to click that. If you want to be on Snapchat, and then it says, "Oh yes, I own." So you have to own 100% of the publishing.
I totally own 100% of all the things I make.
Yeah, totally. You would hope. Shoot, and there
don't
you have
illegally sample anything.
artist, band name, so you have your artist set up. He already linked his Spotify and others, but I believe if you scroll down, there's like a section to put credits. Featured artist.
Oh yeah. Okay, all right.
So now the only issue with that is I don't know whether you will pop up, like when you go to Spotify and you see a song by two artists, you'll see both artist names on the bottom and you can click each to then go to their page. I don't know if it shows up that way or if it just says track title parentheses featuring artist. So
well, I feel with the name featured artist that might be the latter. We have to test that.
We'll have to test that. So if you're looking to do collabs, you may want to go through other ways, but don't take our word for it just yet. We'll research it, and if we find out, we'll update it in the description and we'll put something in the comments.
And also, if you know before we do, feel free to drop us a comment in the definitely comments below. Because we'd like to know just as much.
There is one other really cool thing about Distrokid I'd like to talk about. If you're ready to move on to the next one, I just want to talk. If you have something else, go for it.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Okay, so the really cool thing about Distrokid is they have a lot of cool promo things. So if you go over to goodies right before that last one, you can go to promote yourself. And I guess they do NFTs now. They have
to NFTs now.
Yeah, okay. They have I think there was a little controversy when they announced that, but NFTs are just full of controversy right now. They have hyperfollow, which is like those you'll see fan links, campsite. There's a bunch of different websites, but the hyperfollow will send people to the pre-save on Spotify, which helps with the algorithm. If more people pre-save it, it helps, them show it to more people and all that. They also do these short videos. Like they have one with Baby Yoda from the first season of Mandalorian where he's touching like a piece of the ship and your song starts playing and then he messes with something, then it starts playing. So they have really cool little like meme videos you can make, but you can also make, I think, just promo artwork videos. And then the really cool thing is they have those promo cards, which you're actually already hovering over. Do you mind just clicking that?
Yeah. It's almost like I knew what you were going to talk about.
I guess, synchronicity. So you choose an album, just choose whatever. That's a good one. That's a banger.
Yeah, that works. Yeah,
and then look, you get these cool little artwork promo cards that you can post on stories, which now enables links. So you could put a link to the hyperfollow or to your Spotify or to a fan link, whatever website. But they have all these cool little things. So if you don't have the time or don't have the ability to make little promo art and stuff, they have some really cool things you can do for free. Like it's all free on that. There's one thing, I think it's the Vizzy videos that you have to pay for, but I mean, it's just the stuff you can do for free on there. Well, you pay $20 a year or whatever, but
it's all part of the service.
That's all part of the service that they offer for free. Is pretty cool. So it's just a nice little bonus.
It is. So that's Distrokid. Oh, hi Steve. That's Distrokid. And we'll have a look. Are you collabing? No? Okay.
Curtis and Steve. He'd be the featured artist. That's our test.
He would be.
That's going to be our test to see.
So me and Steve, we're going to release an EP together. And so in the past, we've used, like I said, we've used CD Baby, Tunecore, and Sounddrop. Now, we'll start with CD Baby just because chronological order. So
there we go.
CD Baby profess to have the widest circulation, as far as I understand.
And I think they do.
Yeah. And they even go, you can even go pro and like you can get sync licensing through the TV and radio and such. Like if you're not signed up with PRS or OSA or any of these kind of like music royalty collection companies, this essentially does it for you, which is pretty good, to be fair. Yeah. Which is pretty nice. I'm signed up through OSA, so I don't need it. Yeah. But if you're not part of those groups, you're not part of those collectives, then that works nicely for you. Yeah. It is quite pricey though.
That's the issue. CD Baby does a lot of cool things, and they do royalty, I don't know what you'd call it, like royalty checking, but they scour YouTube and stuff for your music. And if your music's being used, they will put a ad in front of, like they'll claim it. That's what you'll see, those copyright claims on songs or on videos on YouTube, because groups like CD Baby are claiming it, and then you're getting the ad revenue from it. So that's kind of cool. But then there's issues with that when a radio station or a streamer wants to play your music, they could get copyright struck, and either it cancels the video or does certain things. So there are issues to consider there. But yeah, the biggest issue with CD Baby is the pricing. Just because it's per release, it costs a large sum. It looks like they lowered it. It used to be even more. And they started with Distrokid getting more popular. They started offering deals for $30 release for an album, $10 for a single, but it used to be $15 and $50, I think, or $40.
Yeah. So a standard album used to be $50, I think.
Yeah. So they have dropped the price a little bit. It is a little more competitive. It is pretty pricey, but the way they do certain things, the distribution and things like that, it might be worth it. I used to use them. I used them up through, I believe, Eidolon, and then we use them for Trans-Pacific and Periapsis. It has its merits. It's something to consider, but I don't think, if you're starting out, I don't know if you'll ever even recoup the price that you pay for one album. And then the issue is when you're ready to release another album or another single, you've got to pay another fee. Whereas if you do something like DistroKid or even Sounddrop, Sounddrop is much lower in price, which we'll talk about. But it's, if you don't want to have a lot of overhead cost, it may not be the one for you. They do have a really cool blog, though. It's called the DIY Musician blog. I think if you scroll to the bottom, Josh, you'll all the way to the bottom. I think they have DIY Musician blog. Yeah, I've never listened to the podcast, but it's probably pretty good. This is CD Baby's DIY Musician blog. There's a lot of really cool tips in there, and they break down certain things. They interview artists about stuff. They usually will try to funnel you to one of their features. Like they have a show.co website that does promo stuff and like mailing list stuff. I mean, they're trying to sell something, obviously, but despite that, there's a lot of really good information found in this blog. So, I mean, it's free. You don't have to be a member to read this. So that's something to look at either way.
Yeah, I feel like if you are making, I suppose it depends how indie you are, how mainstream you are. If you are getting thousands and thousands of plays each release, then maybe it's deeper and it's only better for you.
Yeah, and if people are using your music a lot on YouTube or something, and you'd like the royalties for that, if you'd like that.
And yeah, totally. So there's CD Baby for that. In a similar vein, we have Tunecore. Tunecore I've used a couple of times, again for JT last year. Just terrified. Sorry, Thomas. I don't know what I didn't so Tunecore is similar to CD Baby. It's an annual payment, and it's about $40 per release. First year. So there you go. $20.99 for the first year, and then it's $50 each year after. Right.
Now wait, do you have to pay that every year for each album you have up?
I feel so, yeah. I found the only issues I've found with Tunecore is that all of these companies are AI operated. But I found, again, when putting them up, the AI didn't like the artwork, I didn't like the naming, and it was a bit more fiddly than, say, DistroKid or CD Baby.
Yeah.
I think Tavis, he had to redo the artwork a couple of times, and we had to put it up a couple of times because they didn't like just JT as the album, for example.
Yeah.
So so the artwork must be really clear, and it must be, there's no room for abstractness. Yeah. Abstractification, whatever you want to call it.
Abstract artwork.
Abstract artwork, yeah. It has to be to the point. Yeah. It has to have the stuff. We have used Sounddrop as part of Audionautic Records. We did for a while. We're switching this year. We were going to go and do something else. Yeah. Haven't quite landed on what we're going to do yet. But
I'm leaning towards DistroKid with the label.
Yeah.
Release.
Yeah.
But
that's where we're going to go for. But so at the beginning, in the very beginning, in the genesis of Sounddrop, what it really had going for it is that it was free.
Yeah.
It was free.
It was free distribution. So you could have as many collaborations as you wanted on there, and they would take, I think it was 20 or 30% of the royalties. So instead of paying something upfront, they would take it in the back end. It's a little slow, it's a little clunky, and they are owned by CD Baby.
Oh, I didn't realize that on my CD Baby. Okay,
At least
all
they
right,
were.
okay.
I think they still are.
Okay. Well, okay. So we used it last year for Sound Phases EP, The Illusion of a New Beginning.
Yeah.
And what apart from the fact that there was no upfront cost, because I mean we were a starting label. I mean we don't have any money.
Actually, it did cost by the time we used the Sound Phaser one.
Okay. All right. So first, okay. So we'll get into that in a second. But when we when we put up for Voyage, right? What we could do is we could split the royalties ahead of time. So we at Audionautic, we always split things 50-50 between the two of us, right? And so when we're uploading it, we put in Sunwarper's PayPal at 50%, and we put in my PayPal at 50%, and then that is already done ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to do any maths, we don't have to worry about anything.
It's great for labels too, because you just put the artist and how much they get, and boom, it goes right to them. Yeah. They have to set up an account or something, but then it just goes right to them.
Yeah. Now, Sounddrop, there's two reasons why we stopped using Sounddrop. One of them is they've started charging to put the tune up. So put the tunes up. So it's no longer free distribution. It's only $1
per song.
Per song.
Per song. So if you have a 10-track album, it's $10.
Yeah, which is still, in the grand scheme of things, as we've seen from Tunecore and we've seen from CD Baby, it's still cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, fine, all right, you pay. It's a service. You have to pay. I understand that. What continues to irk me about Sounddrop is that you don't get onto socials.
Yeah.
You don't get onto stories. You don't get onto reels. Now, I know Psychonautic Volume 1 was put up. I think Spectre put it up through Sounddrop, and to this day, we're over a year of release now. You can't get Psychonautic Volume 1 on stories or on reels or anything like that.
Yeah.
And that, as someone who does all the copy and is very focused on doing the social media side of things, that's a big no-no.
Well, there's even worse than that, is that it only puts you on, I think, about 5 or 6 streaming platforms. I don't even think it puts you on Tidal. There's a couple big ones that it misses, and then it misses a lot of these. Now, how many people listen on them? Not many, but a lot of these smaller streaming sites, it puts them just on a few. So when it was free, it was like, well, that's a fine compromise because it's free. You'll just take percentage out, but I'll get on Spotify and all that stuff. But now that it costs $1, so if you're releasing a single every month, no albums, it's just $12, whereas DistroKid would be $20. But DistroKid would get you on all those extra ones and on the socials, and it would get you the hyperfollow, the promo stuff, all that kind of stuff. So you have to weigh what's worth it for you. The only really other cool thing about Sounddrop is, and I think some of these other distributors are doing it now, is Sounddrop lets you upload covers, and if you put in all the information right, like the pro and all the right information about who originally wrote it, you can release that to streaming sites, and they get X percentage, and you get X percentage of the streaming royalties. So, like, if I was doing a cover of, like, an Aphex Twin song, you just put in all of the information, like the name. You just have to have the right info, I guess. Like, it has to be exact. Like, you know, if his name is Richard James, but he has a middle initial, you have to have that middle initial if that's what he's credited as. So you have to get everything right, I guess. I've never done it, but that is something to consider. I think DistroKid is starting to do cover licensing now, or distribution, but that was Sounddrop's big thing. Like, I think if you scroll down, you'll see them talk about...
So support from Rehoom's expert cover song licensing and automated collaborator splits. Those are the big kind of things that make it keep going. After that, though, and I mean, you know, through the research that we've done for both Audionautic and our own music careers, it still has to be DistroKid. I think I would say
Sounddrop has its merits, and I think there's a few other free distributors. I think it's like amuse.io or something. I've never used any of them, and I've heard things that they're really slow to get it up, to get it to streaming sites. So, like, if you set a release date for a month from now, it's still not up, maybe, you know, and things. So, these are the 4. I'm not even really familiar with Tunecore because I never liked their pricing structure. I'm very familiar with CD Baby. I like them, but there's a drastic con with the price. And I wish they'd offer some sort of competitive, you know, like yearly fee thing rather than this per album per single thing. It's just so much money. And then Distrokid it seems to be the best middle ground, where it's got a good price. It does all the streaming sites. It does all of the social media and all that. The issue is still with this collaboration thing, which we'll sort out. But yeah.
So yeah, those are the distributors that we know and that we have used and that we have experience on. I mean, if there's any more that we've missed, or if you guys at home use anything else, let us know. It's a bit of a muddy world. It's still so new, and in the grand scheme of things, like, these are tools that musicians in the 21st century can use to bypass record labels and all that stuff. And even the fact that we are a label ourselves, but they are there and they are to be understood. So if there's anything we've missed, let us know. We'd love to know.
Yeah, and if you want us to cover anything more in depth about either specific distributors or what certain distribution things mean, like, getting on the socials, what we're talking about, things like that, let us know. And if you use a specific distributor, we'd love to hear why in the comments. Just, we're always trying to learn, and we want everybody to see what everyone else is doing, and maybe we can all take something away from it, and together we grow, as Curtis would say.
Together we grow. Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah.
I knew that was coming. See, I gave you that segue, so I had to take something.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So yeah, thank you ever so much for joining us today. We are looking forward to doing more. We're switching things up ever so slightly in the new year, as we always like to do. We love to switch things up. So yeah, if there's anything that you would like us to kind of cover and talk about, hit us up. We're always up for more. We sit here week in, week out, coming up with ideas to talk about. But if there's something that you'd like us to know, or you'd like us to talk about, then feel free.
Yeah, and we'll be back with Lightspeed in a slightly different form in 2 weeks. And we are also now doing weekly live streams on Audionautic Deep Space Network, which is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. We'd love to have you over there. We're still fleshing it out, but we should have a chat, which will have everybody in. If you want to join in the conversation on video or in the actual live stream, you can head on over to our Patreon, and we'd love to have you there.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening.